All right, so we're here for a new week. This week we're talking about birds, and we have our first book ready to go on archive. But I did want to talk a little bit about the spring read aloud tour. So I'm going to start on the weekends. That's the plan right now, starting on the 22nd of March and places and reading books aloud. So the books that will be read aloud can be closely related to the themes of the establishment. If it's a restaurant, for example, and there's a certain type of cuisine, the book that's read can take place and be set in the setting. Like if we're talking about Indian food, it can be a book that's about traveling India, it can be a book by an Indian author. You can also focus on specific menu items if we're talking about even a store, like a retail store that has a lot of open space, then there can be books that might be about fashion. Okay. So, and take some breaks every now and then to do some promotion. So maybe every page, at the end of the page, ring a bell or something. By the way, there's a special on so and so today, right? Things like that. Same deal if we're talking about a bar or something like that, because we do have adult itineraries that are being developed. So if you're at a bar location that offers drinks, then we could maybe be reading mystery books or something where the topics are a little bit more, um, I don't know, sensitive, a little bit more serious. Okay. Not saying that there aren't mysteries that are even children's books and things like that, but so should be going around. If that sounds interesting, then you can go to bookpagesdale.com. I'll go ahead and share my screen. And you can click on schedule a read aloud. Okay. So there are two forms that I'll be swapping back and forth at this point. There's this form for signing up for read alouds, and then there's the other form that's to apply for the open design position. And if you go through here, you can get a little description about what the reading aloud is all about. So what type of establishment are we dealing with? Please share the name and address of this place, which day. So for right now, I'm just focusing on Saturday and Sunday. If you'd really like another day of the week, let me know. Maybe somehow it'll work out where there's a time we can make that happen. Which time frames? So starting really early and then going until about 6. So I do want to make sure that this is all daytime. Even going into the summertime, though, I probably wouldn't push it to 8, but maybe, because the sun will be up until about then. Which genres of books are you interested in? Okay, we have children's books, poems, short stories, mysteries, nonfiction, romance. It can be all or none. You can put in other. No preference. I would please ask you to narrow it down somewhat, okay? And if you're not sure how to choose, you could say, I'm not sure. And then I can maybe give you some guidance on how to go about choosing the best one. And then the last two pieces of information requested are optional. And you can add extra details, comments, concerns, preferences. So if you're in a position where you would really like for there to be an activity or for there to be more engagement, okay? If you would really like for this to be a part of another event, okay? Just let me know, okay? Maybe you have an event coming up for St. Patrick's Day and you have a couple things going, but you'd really like to have some books read aloud, and you're okay with me reading some books aloud, and then also promoting some other products and services with pagesdale. And then finally, if you wanted to add a flyer, if it's easier for you to just share a promotional that you've already put together instead of explaining it, then there's a place for you to add that there. Even if you have a brochure or if you have the menu that you'd like to add or something like that, okay? Or the services that you provide, then I can keep that in mind when choosing a book. Even if you have an event schedule or something like that. Anything that would be helpful, you're welcome to add it. I will do my best to use it as guidance. And you submit, and then I will respond, and I'll reach back out to you, and we can work that out. If you notice that the time frames that are here might be a little bit too short, you can choose more than one, and hopefully we can work it out. Even if you want to do a full day where I'm just there all day reading, there will be intermissions, right? And those could be times where we try to do activities, okay? These activities could be just, crafting type of activities, snacks, things like that. Inviting other people to come up and read something a little bit different. If I'm reading short stories, then we could invite people to come up and read poems or something like that during the intermission. Could be just about anything. But if you'd like to do something that requires a projector or any other tools, then I would ask that you be able to provide those. I'm pretty comfortable using those things and working with those things, but I won't be able to bring them along at this point in time. Okay. All right. And that's it. If you'd like to schedule something for before March, just let me know. We'll see if we can work that out. All right, so here we are talking about birds today, and the book that we have is titled My Life with Birds. It is an autobiography, but apparently it's a fictional autobiography. And at the end, it gives guidance on how to write an autobiography. So I'm not sure if it's fictional or not, but that's how it's described. It says contains brief articles about a woman who is fascinated by birds, an introduction to fictional autobiography. Includes notes for parents and teachers. My Life with Birds. All right, so my shoe shop days. I was born in Brynwick. My parents owned a shoe shop. I was their only child, and so I had to learn to entertain myself. When I was little, my parents took me to the shoe shop every day. I hated the shoe shop. I hated being inside all day, and I hated people coming in for my mother and father to fuss about their feet. As I got older, I thought up ways to make my time in the shoe shop more interesting. One day, I pulled the laces out of the shoes and tied them together to make a jumper. Another time, I found a slimy slug and put it in a shoe. I loved it when a woman dressed up in fancy clothes tried the shoe on. She screamed so loud that people came running everywhere. They thought there had been a murder in my parents' shoe shop. My parents were very angry with me. They said they had lost their best customer. It's kind of awful. Days with my aunt. After I put the slug in the shoe, my parents decided I couldn't come to the shop anymore. I was sent to stay with my aunt. I liked it a lot at my aunt's place because she had a big yard and I could play outside. I was worried, though, that my aunt kept birds in cages. I had decided I liked birds. I would sit in my aunt's yard and watch them for hours. I felt sorry for the birds in their cages. I had never heard them sing like birds that were free. One day, I lifted the latch of their cage door and they flew away. My aunt was very upset and blamed the cat. She said she had seen it with its paws on the latch. My aunt got some birds, more birds, but I let them out too. She blamed the cat again, but I think she might have changed her mind when I became a bird woman. School days. When I was 6 years old, my father and mother separated. I stayed with my mother during the week and went to my father's place on the weekends. It was about this age that I found out birds liked me as much as I liked them. I would feed them crumbs and they would perch on my shoulders and lead. I carried crumbs in my pocket so wherever I went I could feed the birds. I always had a flock of birds following me. One day at school, a bird flew in the window and sat on my head. The teacher tried to shoo it out, but it kept coming back to sit on my head. I had to take it out and shut the window, but it knocked on the window with its beak. The kids kept laughing, so I had to do my work outside with the birds. After that, the principal said I was not to feed the birds on the way to school. At school, I wasn't very good at mathematics, but I knew everything about birds. At home, I turned the backyard into a bird paradise. I made bird baths and a pond. I made a large feeding table, and one day I found a bald eagle on it. Birds came from everywhere. They made nests in the trees and helped to care for the babies. My mother got a bit annoyed about all the birds in the backyard. She said every time she took the washing in there were bird droppings on it. She got tired of people knocking on the door, asking to see the birds, especially when I decided to have tours of my bird paradise. I put a sign on the gate. Bird Paradise. Conducted tours, $3. Bird watching in the Amazon. When I left school, I had quite a lot of money and saved from giving I had quite a lot of money saved from giving tours around my bird paradise. I decided to use the money for a jungle tour. I spent 6 weeks in the jungle, living in a houseboat and sometimes in tree huts. I had to wear a camouflage suit, which was extremely hot. I had special glasses made for bird watching. It was very interesting to watch birds in the wild. I learned a lot about birds during this 6 weeks, and the information has been very useful to me. Bird trouble. When I came back from the jungle, I had to find a place to live. My mother didn't want me to come back and live with her. All the birds had left when I went away, and she liked it better without them. I didn't have much money, and I knew I had to get a job. I found a house in the country to live in. It had plenty of room for birds, and I got a job picking apples. But that job only lasted a week. Birds came with me and pecked holes in the apples. The manager said he never had trouble with birds until I arrived. I'm sorry, he said, but you will have to find a new job. The next job I got was cleaning a huge house. That job didn't last long either. The birds came and perched on the roof and left a huge mess everywhere. The owner said I would have to go and take the birds with me. I tried all sorts of jobs, but I always seemed to have the same problem. That was when I decided to become a bird woman. Setting up my bird hospital. I went to see an old man who lived I went to see an old man who had lived with birds all his life. I had never seen so many birds, even in the jungle. He told me that he used to have a bird hospital and rescued hurt and sick birds. Now he just had an open house and birds come and go whenever they like. I decided that I would make a bird hospital in my old house and rescue birds that were in danger. It took me 1 year to get my bird hospital ready. I had to make all the bird beds for the sick birds and turn all my bedrooms into bed cages for birds who were sick. When the bird hospital was ready, I put advertisements in the newspapers and store windows. The first job I got was to find some prize parrots that had escaped from a cage. I found them huddled under an old sack. I told their owner that there were better places than cages to keep birds. I helped her make a huge outdoor pen and trained the parrots to go in and out. I have been very lucky with my jobs. I have been to some very interesting places. I have climbed icy mountains in the middle of winter to rescue birds. I have dangled from helicopters rescuing birds of high cliffs. I have paddled down rivers to rescue baby birds trapped by crocodiles. Once I had to travel thousands of miles to rescue a pigeon that had lost its way. I was on a tiny island. There was a terrible storm, and I couldn't get off the island for a week. I love my life with birds. Nearly every day, there is some new and exciting adventure. All right, and here's the little section about writing an autobiography. So, an autobiography is a story of a person's life written by the person themselves. How to write an autobiography. Step 1. Think of the important things you want to put in your autobiography. Make a word web to help you brainstorm ideas. Step 2. Make a list of chapter headings to help organize the sequence of events in your life. Step 3. Now use your word web and chapter headings to write your autobiography. Step 4. Check your autobiography. Can you add anything to make it more interesting? Can you use artwork, photographs, letters? Can you take anything out that is not important in your autobiography? Is your autobiography a true story about your life? All right. Cool. So I have something like a little autobiography. It's called Auto by Ashley, but it's just like a podcast. Okay. What can we do? First of all, what to think about? It seems like at this point, it's better just to stay consistent with the travel study right setup, right? I don't see any need to change it or any meaningful reason to change it for the birds topic, right? If we were to do, actually, birds travel quite a bit, so we could do extra travel, right? We could do extra travel. And then the only thing about that is there's still quite a bit to study when it comes to birds. And also ways to help birds and bird habitats and things like that. So we could double up on the travel. We could do a travel study, right? Travel study, right? I'm not sure. If we try to think of kind of like the migration of birds from one place to another, If we try to pick out a specific bird, right? Where does that bird go? You know, what region is that bird usually in? And then we do a travel in one region and then a travel in another region. Some type of study situation. And then some way to help birds. I think that is good. Doubling up on the travel because birds move around a lot. And then one study activity and one write activity. I've been making chocolatey desserts the past few days. And it's never really worth it for me. It's really not. The sugar and the gluten always get to me. I can do dark chocolate, like I can do really fudgy type stuff. And I can work with, like dates and maple syrup. But as soon as I get into anything that has processed sugar and gluten, like I can feel it. But I think the maple syrup too. It's kind of like a headache, kind of a grind sort of a situation. So now we just have to pick out one bird, look up its migration path. I don't like it though. I don't like it because it doesn't really get much into the book at all. Right? It seems like, what you should do is just make a birdhouse or something. Right? It's kind of like go into your backyard or go to a local park. Make a birdhouse. But it's also an autobiography. So it's a writing, it's a book about writing. So if we're writing kind of an autobiography situation, it could be just go to a local park, study the birds, and write a short story. Write a short story from in first person about what happened. If you see birds, great. If you don't see birds, what did she put out in order to get the birds? Bird paradise. Don't they say not to feed birds crumbs anymore? Okay. So go in your backyard or go to a local park with seeds. Just not sure what to do to get the same vibe. I think that's fine. You go to your backyard or a local park with some seeds. Um, go to a local go into your backyard or local park, any place that any place where birds are sighted often, I guess. Um, Interact kindly with birds as much as you can for the time that you have, and then there were okay. So save birds, how to save bird habitats, how to save bird habitats. just not really getting much from this one. So there's a lot to work with, but it should definitely be a writing itinerary. It should definitely be helping birds and studying birds and just going somewhere relatively local. It should definitely be a local itinerary. I think that's it. Yeah. I haven't really been filling this in as much as I used to. So, my life with birds. All right. Go to a local. Go to your backyard. Front yard. Side yard. Go to your backyard, front yard, local park, or anywhere safe. That birds frequent. Then write down or take mental note, make a mind map of any observations or interactions you have with birds. And then finally, write a mini, it wouldn't be an autobiography. Write a mini autobiography-esque. All right, so that's that. I think we're done with that itinerary. I think it touches a little bit on the story. We don't have the double travel because it just didn't really didn't really fit the helping members at all. Not rescuing birds or building a birdhouse, which would make sense to do. Should we do like a birdhouse or something? Or make a birdhouse. Is it helpful to make birdhouses? I think that's good. That's good. It gives options. You can write something or you can make something. You're helping. You're still studying, right? But if you make the mind map of your interactions and observations, use your mind map to help you write or make a hopeful birdhouse for the birds you encountered, for you encountered. All right, I think that's good. That's good enough. I think that's fine. And it touches a lot on the book. Great, cool. So that's done. Let's see if we can find some bird trivia. The ultimate bird trivia quiz. Here we go. With several varieties weighing less than a coin, what bird is the smallest in the world? A finch. Oh, a hummingbird is smaller than a finch? Okay. The American white variety of what bird can hold 3 gallons of water in its bill? Which flightless bird has been known to kill humans? It's not a dodo. I don't think it's a dodo. But for some reason, dodo came first. No, so okay. The cassowary has been known to kill humans. With slashing blows of its feet. The innermost of its 3 toes bears a long dagger-like nail. The cassowary is a large flightless bird of Australia, New Guinea, and nearby islands. Which of these is not a reason why woodpeckers peck wood? To chisel holes for nesting. I think they mark territory. I think they find insects, and I think they scare predators. I don't think it's for nesting. Oh, it's not to scare predators. Woodpecker is any of about 180 species of birds that are noted for probing for insects in tree bark and for chiseling nest holes in deadwood. In spring, the loud calls of woodpeckers, often augmented by drumming on hollow wood or occasionally on metal, are the sounds of males holding territories. During other seasons, woodpeckers are usually silent. Which bird has a beard, wattle, and snood? A beard? A wattle? Oh, a turkey. Which of these birds can also be called pigeon? A bulbul, a dove. Okay, yeah, okay. All right, doves are carriers. Certain birds, columbidae, pigeon and dove are often used interchangeably. Although dove usually refers to the smaller long-tailed members of the pigeon family, there are exceptions. The domestic pigeon, rather than typical pigeon, is frequently called the rock dove and is the bird portrayed as and called the dove of peace. Roughly the size of a chicken, which bird lays the largest egg relative to size? Ostrich. What? Largest egg? What? Its egg is sold at 10% of the mother's weight. A kiwi egg is roughly 20% of the mother's weight. Wow. Osprey? The flamingo? Of course anyway. Flamingo's bright red color comes from eating foods rich in carotenoid pigments, which can be found in foods like carrots. Which of these birds is able to turn its head 270 degrees? An owl. Which bird has stomach acid more potent than the acid found in car batteries? A bald eagle? A turkey vulture. Yeah, vultures. I don't know. Which of these birds can now be found in the wilds of New York City? I'm going to go for a crane. A monk parrot. I guess parrot makes sense for South America. Monk parrots were introduced into the US as pets in the 1960s. Today, there are an estimated 550 thriving in the wild in New York City. Some biologists claim the number could be 10 times larger. Okay. The ocelli or eye spots, ocelli, on what bird helps influence the writing of Charles Darwin? No idea. Eye spots? Don't quail have eye spots? Peacocks? I know I should probably know more about birds, but peacocks, I don't think eye spots when I think, oh, these are the eye spots. Yeah, okay. Wow. Because of their long legs, what bird's young is called a colt? A crane. I did a project on the whooping crane a long time ago. A whooping cough. What bird lays its eggs in other birds' nests, tricking them into caring for its young? The stork. That's why it's the stork, right? No. Female cuckoos are so adept at mimicry, they can adapt the shade of their eggs' shells to match those of other birds in their habitat. Wow. Whew, that is pretty bad. You want to forget the same questions? No, different questions. I'm going to add this. Can I add this in the description? I'll see if I can start adding a link to the game that I play within the description. But yeah, so I think we're done for today. I'm going to the wrong place. Okay, so that was resolved. Great, so tomorrow we'll talk more about birds. The book tomorrow, I believe, is about birds that Shakespeare talks about. And we'll see what happens with that itinerary. Have a great one and see you tomorrow.